Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
Chemda, I see these Zoom comedy shows, and may I say, we have the best Zoom shows in the business.
I like our shows.
The silent trailers is always so fun when we do it. And I see other people's shows, and people would think maybe Zoom's better. I don't have to deal with hecklers. No, you got to deal with babies now. You got to deal with people doing dishes. And thank goodness Xerxes knows how to do the rooms just right, and the right people are silenced, etc. I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, it's been a year into this new world, and I think we got our groove.
And with that said, Keith and the Girl Week is coming in April. We do it around my birthday every year, of course. This year, we have 5 events. And if you're a Keith and the Girl VIP member, you get a free ticket to all 5 events. Go to keithandthegirl.com/VIP. Become a member today. You not only get these bonuses, you get every show we've ever done, over 16 years now. There's a limited amount of backstage passes to the events. Use your VIP code. Get the discount on those tickets also. Again, keithandthegirl.com/VIP. Become a member today. We just put up a Newsy episode. That's where our buddy Newsy Chew looks at the date on the calendar that he records and goes back to Keith and the Girl episodes that were recorded on that day throughout the years. And it was my high of the day when we recorded that yesterday.
It's pretty fun, and he's a good person to do it because he's been around all that time personally and as a listener. So he's got insider information. He remembers some of the arguments, and yesterday we had a blast.
He reminded me about Janice Earlbaum from Surf Reality Days. Becky Donahue. A lot of fun.
Patrice episode.
Patrice.
Yeah. The show is called Q&A, and it's in your VIP package along with so many of it's everything we've ever done. So keithandthegirl.com/VIP. It supports the show. It's our version of Patreon, and we hope you like it.
I'm very glad when Newsy says, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And I say my thoughts, and they match from a decade earlier.
Yeah.
Like it's a game show.
It's the non-involvement game show. Like, right. I agree. 10 years, 20 years, who cares?
Okay. It seems you're right to be upset, Keith. You apparently meant it, and you remember. Today's guest, one of my favorite people, one of the funniest people I've ever seen. And he's the host of the Dana Gould Hour, the podcast, which is on season 10, episode 3. And when I see something like this, I'm so upset that we didn't do seasons. That would have been so much easier. Anyway, we're on season 339, and I'm excited to be here. He wrote for the Ben Stiller show. And I'm curious, by the way, remember Tom Cruise did Ben Stiller did a killer Tom Cruise impression. And even after the Ben Stiller show, I think he did it on that, but he did one making fun of his love of Scientology. Then the next thing you know, Tom Cruise is in Tropic Thunder with Ben Stiller. And I'm like, did these celebrities even know stuff? So I want to get to that. He was also a producer 5 seasons, I believe, on the Simpsons. And I know a story where Bon Jovi says, hey, I want to be on the show. So they rate in Bon Jovi, and Bon Jovi rates back. It seems like you guys are making fun of me, though. So I want to get into that.
On your comedy show.
Yeah.
It's like the highest praise. Please make fun of me, please.
Yeah. He's featured in the movie The Problem with Apu. Apu became controversial on The Simpsons, of course, but he's here to say, suck it up, snowflakes, it's jokes, I have to assume. Now, before we introduce him.
And giving him his words already.
Right. I want to tell you, we were in LA for the Podcast Expo, Chemda and myself. This is back at the end of 2013. And they allowed me to do stand-up with the big boys. And when I mean big boys, I mean Mark Maron, Aisha Tyler, Dana Gould was there. And I'm one of the first people on stage. And I'm pleased with how it went. I go in the back, and I'm kind of alone, just with my thoughts. I remember calling somebody. And not that Dana would remember this, but I'll never forget it. He came up to me. So he didn't have to because we ran into each other. He came up to me and said he loved that stand-up, and it meant the world, and I'll never forget it. Here he is. His specials include Funhouse. Let me put my thoughts in you. I know it's wrong. Mr. Funny Man, the great Dana Gould. Hi, Dana.
I feel like I don't need to say anything anymore.
That's
you
it.
Covered it.
I like
it could
that.
be a eulogy if you could save that.
Do you like that one of your credits was saying that Keith did a good job?
I like that. But if you just started that with the words "here lies," then we'd be done.
I think you're fantastic. I remember, and then I used.
I remember that. I remember that the Podfest in Santa Monica.
Yeah,
I believe it was, and I wouldn't have said it if I didn't think it was funny.
Well, thank you very much.
When you see somebody that it's not really great, and you're backstage with them, or like when somebody asks you to read something for them, that kind of it's always you get that like, hey, you did it,
right?
You really went for it.
That was you on stage. Wow, it's like you look good up there.
Yeah, hey, you really went for it.
I mean, I literally, other than, a special time like this, I would only do my stand-up show once a year. So Dana could have said anything like, oh, you think you do what I do? Hey.
No, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it.
But man, it meant a lot to me. And then I know some of that stand-up I ended up using on God Made Me Volume 2. And speaking of which, you're what, the fifth of 6 children, right, Dana?
I'm the 5th of 6 children. And I was on The Simpsons longer than 5 seasons, though. I was on from 2000. I was on about, I think, 7.
Okay. And when, well, let me ask you this.
It's all blur. It's all a blur.
Do you remember Bon Jovi writing back?
No, I do remember that. I remember that specifically. Bon Jovi wanted to do the show, and we're like, great. And we came up with some stuff, and then it said he seems like. They said it sounds like you're making fun of him, and we're like, "Have you seen the show?"
Mm-hmm. If you just want us to like sketch a Simpsons version of you, that's one thing.
And we had just recently like kind of humiliated George Lucas, and they were fine with it. It's like, but my memory of Bon Jovi was my ex-wife was a big executive at HBO, and this was the concert at the Lincoln Memorial the day before Obama was inaugurated in 2009, January of 2009. And we were there, and we were all backstage because it was an HBO thing. So we had all access, and literally walking past Bon Jovi talking to Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, okay.
But the weird thing is both guys, I'm like, Roots guys, let's touch it up. Yeah. Touch it up a little bit. They each had like 1/4 inch. It's like it has that color, like when guys with gray hair try to dye it brown, and it comes out to that weird. It's the same color that old comedians would dye. Like when you'd see Henny Youngman or Jack Carter, all these old comedians dyed their gray hair brown, and the color comes out. I call it Catskill copper. It's just that old comedian fake brown. They had that, and then a little line of gray.
Right. Honestly, didn't think that you were about to give fashion tips. Totally thought that was going to go in a different direction.
Did these celebrities sit in a certain way that anybody, you can only see them from one angle, but they have the whole room can only see them from one angle?
Yeah. Well, there was a both men, I think everybody in show business that cares about their image, their image is so crafted, have like no close-ups on the left, only medium shots on the left. You could do a close-up from the right. Like there's their image is really tightly controlled.
You're trying to say hi to them and they push you away 5 feet. Like right there's good.
Yeah, it's outside of that. You need to have Vaseline on glass, and then you can look at me.
It's a favorite.
But they were all very nice. They were all very nice. I mean, I didn't meet them, but most of the super famous people I've met have been great.
And what is your guess? No, this is probably just a guess, but what do you think about Ben Stiller doing a really like? I'm like he's never gonna be friends with Tom Cruise after doing an impression like this. Does Tom?
Oh no,
Cruise
they were tight. They were. I was there for all of that. I worked on Tropic Thunder too. Like I was there for all of those things that you're talking about. Ben's first thing before the Ben Stiller show, I think this is what got him on Saturday Night Live or got him his MTV show, was he did a short film parody of The Color of Money.
Right. With
him as Tom Cruise. And Ben does a supernaturally good Tom Cruise impression. And then Tom saw it, and then he did it on the show. And then Tom saw it, and Tom has a pretty good sense of humor about himself, apparently, because they thought it was great. And those guys became buddies. And I always thought they each wanted to be each other. Like Tom wanted to be a little funnier, and Ben wanted to be able to do more straight roles, and they kind of, it was sort of the thing like, if I get close to you, can I become you? Can I have that? Can I use that power? But they were going to do, I think, a movie together. I think they were going to do the Hardy Boys together, and then Tom Cruise came in and did Tropic Thunder, and he's basically playing Scott Rudin in Tropic Thunder. And he came in and had this idea, like, I want to have really big fingers and I want to dance. And the attitude was like, we can cut it. And it was fantastic. We're like, well, he was right. He was fantastic. He was great. And I have to say, I met him, and he was great. I mean, it's the most handshake you've ever had. It's the most smile. Hi.
Right.
You know,
like Clinton used two hands. He uses his body. Yeah.
You win. You just won shaking hands. You won forever. But he was lovely. It was, he could have been a dick. He wasn't. He was really sweet and very generous with his time.
You brought up your ex-wife, and I'm listening to old interviews of you, and obviously this is natural. Ken and I separately, with different people. I mean, of course, we're divorced too. But I would hear you say
are divorced,
separate people. But yes, we happen to go through
divorces. That's different.
Right. Then if it was both of us,
if you were divorced, you still. Although I literally have texted my ex-wife since we have been on, like while we were waiting to start.
Right.
My ex-wife was one of the people I was texting.
but I hear in interviews, of course, so me and my wife, we fight sometimes, but we're always going to be together, etc. And it makes me think, right? It makes me think of, I did my yearly stand-up show, and I'm saying about me and my wife and how perfect we are together. And then a couple months later, she wants a divorce. And I'm like, you saw me writing this. You could have said, the part about together forever doesn't really move the story. Why not? Yeah. Why not take that out for a little brevity?
It's like that clip of Bill Burr. Nothing's gonna happen under Trump. Just they keep playing that on a loop.
How could you be a better person for your next partner?
Well, I'm in the middle of it, so I am trying.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it is, and it's on my. Richard Matheson, who's a brilliant writer, was one of the original writers on The Twilight Zone. And he wrote the book I Am Legend, which was the book that influenced Stephen King. He is in the Parthenon of great sci-fi horror fantasy writers. Right. Wrote Duel, wrote everything. His son Chris wrote Bill and Ted with Ed Solomon, who I went to college with. Long story longer. Richard Matheson said, when you read my scripts and my novels, you can see where I am in my life from the work that I'm on. You can see where I'm a young guy with kids. You can see where I'm in middle age. Like your work reflects where you are in life. If you watch my special, Let Me Put My Thoughts in You, it is like, here's how you get divorced. Because every bit I do is about my wife. It's like my wife drives me crazy, and here's how I don't express it properly. Here's how I swallow it. Here's how I avoid confrontation. There's a joke in that special that it explains why I got divorced, and my wife would not mind me saying this. It was an old joke of mine that goes like, I'm not good with confrontation. Here's basically my theory is that, my wife will do something that drives me insane, and I won't say anything. And then later I'll die of cancer. It wasn't I'll die of cancer. It was my body went, no, I don't want to get cancer. Let's just get divorced. One day you look, the Christmas tree is dead, and you go, and there's no way to bring it back to life. But it was a very
confrontational.
It was not with a bang, but a whimper. The kids were stunned. And so we just blamed them.
Does somebody bring it up and the other person goes, yeah, I figured.
Yeah, it was one of those things. It was like kind of one of those, hey, yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. You say it at the same time. Is it weird that she brought your album into court though? Like that seems a little too much.
But she had the bailiff do it like the Lenny Bruce trials. Like, that's not the joke. You're ruining the joke.
Right.
It's true that this
it sucks. I mean, it's not good.
Sure.
This has been a timeline of our life. If you go back before I actually got divorced, before that decision was made, you can hear for like an entire year, I'm like, this motherfucker, you guys all know my husband. Let me tell you a little story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you gotta feel that coming, when we first started the podcast, Keith and I were dating, and we'd even say, our little cute names for each other on the show. And I'm like, you guys didn't know we were broken up when I started calling him by his first and last name, like both names. It wasn't even like Keith was like, all right, Keith Malley.
Right. He's like,
Mr.
Keith Malley, 37 years old. Listen.
But one of the things that has changed is like, if my ex-wife and I would have some sort of confrontation or something, and she'd say something and walk out of the room, I would think, phew, it's over. She's no longer here.
Right.
Like, no, that's not what. So now when it happens with my, I hate saying girlfriend because she's not a girl. She's a woman.
She'll understand. But
woman friend sounds like somebody your grandpa brings with him to Thanksgiving in case the machinery breaks. Grandpa's coming for Thanksgiving, but he's bringing his woman friend because all the food has to go through that tube first.
Do your kids know the woman friend?
Oh yeah, no, we live together.
Okay.
But it's when she says something and we get a little snip, she walks out of the room. I then follow her and go, no. And I just instant surgery, like, nope.
Right.
Let's fix this now. And I don't let anything go to that regard because that's the beginning of the end. And it's hard sometimes because my kids are, my two oldest are teenagers, and dad's living with a woman and they're teenagers, and it's unfair to everybody a little bit.
Yeah, I imagine it's uncomfortable.
There's a lot of adapting. Yeah, it's and I didn't do it properly. I should have.
What's not properly so that we could learn?
I didn't really talk to them about it beforehand. I just said, I thought, hey, Kat's moving in.
Right.
And
this is adult stuff. Like this has nothing.
Yeah, and it's none of your business.
It's not like your rent is going to get cut because there's another person here.
Yeah,
right.
But it was just, it was like my attitude. This isn't funny at all, but like my attitude towards it was, this is a good, healthy boundary for them that they know that they don't get a say in who I date. That's a strong boundary. And then later I found out from a parental specialist, like, no, that was a terrible mistake. It's their home too, and they need to feel that they have a say in who lives in their home. And I just made a perfectly wrong decision. It was just beautifully, perfectly wrong.
Well, I have stepkids now. I don't think me or Kyle did anything, like that, like necessarily a sit down. That's what we should have done, probably, right?
But you guys don't live with each other yet, so that's different. They still have, the not you version of life,
right? But you do know we closed the bedroom door. Is that enough for a teenager?
Ugh.
Yeah. It was like, and they want to have a say in who lives in their house and who is their dad's partner.
And you ask, but you're not looking for the answer. It's almost when you ask to be fun or respectful, the dad, hey, I want to marry your daughter. What do you think? And they go, no. And you go, yeah, but I'm gonna. Yeah,
exactly. Well, now it's a bad movie where I'm Hugh Grant and you're Robert De Niro.
Right.
What it is, well, you don't have to ask them permission. You can say like, hey, I'm thinking of having somebody move in. What do you think of that? How does that make you feel? There are ways that you can ask it that are, being a parent is like the only thing I feel I've done even kind of a little right in my life. So like
that's pretty good.
I take great care to not, none of the kids are in rehab. Right. They're all pretty.
Do you have to be were you nervous because your 3 children are all adopted that now this is another person that you might think doesn't want to be around you, even though it sounds like the two of you are still getting along?
Yeah, we're too fine.
But were you nervous? Like now they're going to think, man, there's always they're going to think there's always problems around them. Their first parents probably didn't want them. Now is this a mess? Was that ever a concern?
I know, yeah. Yeah, they know enough. Like they're from China, and they were sorry, I'll give you that again. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We're gonna keep all this in so people.
Oh, I wasn't sure if we edit it. Okay.
No, we just assume that every time you're right, something goes.
No, yeah, no. This is a great Southern California reminder. I have to go to Val Surf when I'm done here. But when, they were abandoned, it was in China, the 1-child policy, and, their parents wanted them to have a better life than they could provide for them under the situation in China. So that, and
are they related?
No,
okay.
Only legally. They're all from different parts of China.
Okay.
But those feelings don't come up until they're in their teenage years. And that's when they're sort of, when you start to, when you're a teenager and you start to assemble a personality,
right?
Maybe I'm with me, I know it was like, maybe I'm a mod. No, maybe I'm a punk. Maybe I'm I was like, what alternative version of, what version of alternative music am I that I will wear like a costume to be my personality? Well, part of that for kids is what is my, like my birth parents, my genetic family. And, as you must know Sam Morrell.
Yes, I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah. He goes, we're very close, and he's adopted and knows his birth father. And so these issues just sort of come up.
Right.
And the trick was always to be very honest with them about that stuff and let them sort of come to it on their own. But it's really a minefield. I mean, there's certain things where like there's no good way out of this. Somebody's gonna really feel shitty.
Right.
Well, it's funny because they're looking for their genetic stuff, and I am too. But when you have Middle Eastern parents, they act like somebody else birthed you because they're like, "What the fuck? Mind your own business." I'm like, Dad, I just need to know if we have diabetes in our history. I think you have diabetes. I don't know why I don't know. And he's like, what are these questions? I'm like, so I'm putting you down for no. I remember one time.
That's really funny.
And I didn't even have like up to that level of conversation with my dad. My mother just got frustrated with me one day, and she's like, you know what? Your dad's taking all these pills, and like, as if like I'm adding to the stress of the entire family. And I'm like, what pills are Dad taking? You're in Israel. I can't see you. Okay. We're not FaceTiming every time he takes a pill or a vitamin. What pills? And he's like, well, she starts naming 1 or 2 things, but it's in Hebrew. I go, what is that one? Is that one diabetes? And she's like, you know what? I don't know why you bring this up. I don't know why we used to talk about such negative things. I'm like, what? It's happening. I'm not forced.
But at least they take them. Here's what my mother did. Here's what my mother would do. Well, the doctor told me that I need to stop. My mother is.
Let's retake that.
My mom, it's always, she's taking some kind of supplement she found in the back of a witchcraft magazine. It's always some kind of goofy shit. And she would say well, the doctor told me to stop taking all of my supplements and just take 1 heart pill a day. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take 5 heart pills on one day. And then, no.
Well, you know what? I don't know if maybe it was just a generational thing, but my dad was like that too, Henda. And I'd be like, hey, I was, I'm supposed to find out how many heart attacks did you have, Dad? And my dad goes, who wants to know? The National Enquirer. My doctor, Dad. My doctor wants to know. He's like, I don't see why it's important. I had a few.
Like, I remember when I was
I had a few.
I was applying for colleges when I was a senior. And granted, I did everything last minute. So I'm calling my mother on a payphone. And I'm like, shit, today's the day where I have to put in for CUNY or something like that. The simpler ones where you don't have to do a whole packet. You basically just have to write your basic info. And it's about financial situation. I go, how much do we make? How much does dad make? He was the sole provider. And she goes, what do you mean, how much did dad make? Why would you ask such a rude question? And I'm like, Mom, I never want to know. Can I come home and you just put a number down and I seal the envelope without looking at it?
Right.
Please, I'm not trying to get in your business, but other people want to know.
It's amazing.
It's not the IRS calling, but they might. I don't know.
Right. And it's also funny, by the way, about like teenagers. When are they going to open up and talk about what they've been thinking about? And I'm finding out it's whenever you tell them to go to bed. Like, can you please turn the TV off? You never asked me about kids. Oh, okay. And you just turned 14. Look at you.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
Damn.
There's a lot of that.
When you were a kid, you were an altar boy, right?
Yeah. No one laid a hand on me.
I was too.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
And were you into it or just
in the Boston Archdiocese? Right. In the late 70s, early 80s, by the way. Like,
there's movies.
I was at ground zero. It's a miracle. But apparently from the back, I'm really unattractive.
I watch all those. If they're dramatizations, I watch all those movies about that.
Spotlight and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you too? Like, I was an altar boy. I don't know if that's why.
I did see Spotlight. I have to say I'm a agnostic, but I'm not religious at all. But we had a priest in our, I grew up in Massachusetts, and we had a priest in our diocese, a young guy, Father O'Brien, who was great and like really befriended me and my friends. And like when we were like 13 to 16, like before we had driver's licenses, he would drive us around in the parish van, and we go to the movies, and we go to pizza, and he was straight and narrow, like a completely solid guy. And it was just a great and a really good influence on all of us. Like I'm like, far be it from me to say anything positive about the Catholic Church, but
I do think
he was terrific.
It's pretty incredible to be like, hey, I was an altar boy. Let me explain. I was one of the few who weren't touched. And in fact, I spent extra time with the priest, still didn't touch me.
No, it's alarming.
But it's incredible to like be able to count more how much the priest didn't fuck you up. Like he didn't fuck you up.
Well, it's kind of like saying, I was in the camps in World War II, had a great time. He's like, really? That never follows that. There are very rarely do you hear a story that starts with, look, I was an altar boy as a kid and we were pretty close to a priest. That's never a good story.
No.
It's like, I had a big bowl of expired chowder just before I got on the elevator. Like, that's not going to be a good story.
So you're agnostic. Do you have any religion as your kids are growing up? Do you
nothing. In fact, it's funny. Neither my ex and I we were both raised Catholic, and we're both, about as Catholic as that drink. And our this actually really happened because their cousins are more religious than we are, and but you still want them to have a sense of wonder. So like as kids, like, okay, Santa's going to come in a couple of weeks. And, every year Santa Claus has a list of all the good boys and girls on earth. And he knows who's been naughty and who's been nice. And if you're good, he's going to come down the chimney and leave you presents. Yeah, well, Olivia says that Christmas is Jesus's birthday. Like, yeah, but that's kind of a wives' tale. Like, you don't want to get sucked into all that stuff.
Oh, that's
kind
of
crazy. Yeah, you don't want to go into the weeds of that. That's just nuts. But he's got this list, and he goes to every home on earth. Yeah, you just try to raise your kids as secular humanists. See how it goes.
I feel, my dad was a Catholic priest before he got married. And
oh, wow, God bless him.
Right?
No pun intended.
You hope. And I think I'm an atheist because I was taught too much. And so to back away from that, I really have to switch this shit around. To me, it was like when somebody lies to you and you make up what they mean. So I'd be like, okay, what you're saying is a lie, but I think God likes gays and didn't impregnate a woman in her sleep. And then it hit me like, you know what? I could just say you lied to me. I don't have to make up things. That's why I ended up where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, my cousin was a Catholic priest and left the priesthood, and then he and his partner opened up an AIDS hospice. So they actually did something Christian.
Right.
And his mother, my aunt, literally had a heart attack when he left the priesthood, because their theory is like literally like, we got an in.
Yeah.
We know somebody at the door. We got no problems now.
Right.
Now I can go to a giant city on a cloud and hang out with Abe Lincoln. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. My dad kept telling me, son, you would make an excellent priest. I'm like, wow, you really don't know
say
me.
that.
What part of anything I've done says I'd make an excellent priest?
All you have to do is stop swearing.
Right.
Jeez,
But
you don't have to swear.
But with that said, and my dad really liked the attention, the kiss the ring, etc. I'm sure I was just an altar boy to perform in a way.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also what your father was a priest. Like, I totally get that. It's great to have structure, like some kind of structure in your life. Your church, your I'm envious of people that have great faith.
Well, I think you're right. It's structure.
I don't think that. Yeah. And by the way, let me just say this one thing. Like, I'm not saying what I believe is right. Like, I know a lot of people who are really dyed-in-the-wool atheists, like fundamentalist atheists. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, that's just as misconstrued as a fundamentalist Christian, because basically the root of the argument goes, you're an idiot. You think you know what happens after you die. You're stupid. I know what happens after you die. Nothing. It's like, oh, okay. But you're just saying the same thing. It's like,
but is it odd to be
something happens? You think nothing happens. Both of you don't know.
Do you ever throw out a kind of prayer though? Like, how you're agnostic?
All the time.
Oh, you do.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, all the time. Like, okay. But there is there's a theory that, like, I hope that there's something. I've said this so many times. Boy, this is not where I was hoping this conversation would go. This isn't even a little funny.
I'm in.
My dog cannot conceive of my computer.
Right.
I was looking to see if he's behind, but they can both be in the same room.
Right.
But they can both be in the same room at the same time.
Right.
It's possible that I can coexist with something so far beyond my comprehension that I don't even see it. So I'm not saying that I know for certain what it is or not. I can't grasp it, but I do believe that, like, having a moral center is its own reward, and that there's a level of karma that seems to work. That's it. My hope is.
You ever pick up a newspaper, by the way? What's this fucking karma?
No, I know. Well, it's a slowdown. I do believe in karma, but I also believe in Devo. So, like, I marry the two. Mm-hmm. My theory is, like, if you go and you're, and you have to tally up your good deeds and bad deeds, that even though I didn't go to church a lot, I would still be decent enough to get in to the cool place.
Did have the kids brought up religion yet?
Oh, yeah, because their cousins are religious, but their mother and I don't know.
Okay.
It's interesting when the kids convince.
Not really. They have phones. They don't need religion. They have phones.
Right.
They know what's happening in the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
I know your brother was a
Boston. More into TikTok.
Your brother was a Boston cop. Is he still?
No, he was my oldest brother was a cop, not in Boston, outside the city.
Oh, okay.
And then he became a prison guard, and then he became a prison official. Oof. And now he's retired.
And this is the one. I was hearing a story that you told where he saw you perform stand-up. and you're doing stand-up about
the gorilla story.
A woman dumping you, and you're
Did I do that on a podcast?
And I heard it somewhere, and and you're crying, and you're like, really getting into it.
I'll tell the story.
Okay.
I used to do a bit about the fact that I couldn't, and this is a bit that I did in my 20s, because now I do understand this. But like, I used to have a bit, it was quite true. It was like, I don't understand how somebody can be in love with you on Tuesday and not in love with you on Wednesday. I don't get it. And the more my girlfriend tries to explain it, I regress evolution. Like, my girl was like, well, it's like, I'm in love with you, but I don't want to go out anymore. Right. It's like, I'm in love with, I still love you, but I'm not in love with, and by the end of the bit, I'm running around the stage like a chimpanzee. Right. It's hilarious. So my brother sees the bit. Now, this is my brother who at the time is a police officer. And he comes up to me after and goes, I can't believe you did that. I said, did what? He says, you were running around like an ape, and there was a table full of black people right in front of you.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
And it took me a full minute to like, oh, well, I don't think of them that way. and they don't either. So we were fine with it. Yeah, but the one guy that had a badge who has the right to detain you. I was texting someone today.
Humble brag.
This particular brother who still uses Jew him down as a negotiating term. Mm. And this is 2021.
Does he also go, what can I say? Say it.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Exactly. And I'll let you guess who he voted for.
Right.
But it's but that's the thing. It's those people are out there, and a lot of them are cops.
Right. I get, well, maybe, he didn't understand that sensitivity training, but I guess be on the crazy side that way. Just don't bring up gorillas ever. Okay. If that's all you can handle.
I didn't, because I left when I was 7. And I have to say, my other brothers, I have 2 brothers that are in law enforcement. My other brother is that you or me? Oh, Jesus. Sorry.
That's right. Put him on.
That's him calling. My other brother's great. My other brother's completely open-minded. His son is gay, and he started off as that guy, and then his son came out, and he was like, "Oh well, I guess I was wrong." Right. He was great. Capacity to grow, capacity to learn. But like, I left when I was 17. Like, I was just like, I was the Marilyn Munster of that family. And I was just like, I am hitting the bricks early.
When the George Floyd
riots thought I was gay.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
When the
George Hollywood?
Right.
Can I talk to hang on one second.
Yeah,
can
please,
I take this?
Yes.
Who is it?
It's my daughter. That's why I want to find out what's going on.
Let's see what's going.
Hey. Hi, what's up?
Danielle asked me to ask you a question.
Okay, I'm doing a podcast, so I've got to be quick.
Do you like Dana's new girlfriend?
So what's the question?
Are you going to get my skis today?
Yes, I'm getting your skis today.
Nice. That was important.
That was it.
Okay, and then my friends want to know if you like Kat.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good.
How could Dana be a better father?
How could I be a better father?
Okay.
I don't know.
Get your skis sooner?
No.
Give me polls also.
I don't know.
All right. Well, that's good. If you don't know, it would be great. I'm glad that you said you don't know. It would be great if they said, how could dad be a better father? And you immediately had like a list of like 20 things. That would have been worse.
There's time. I'm still young.
Yeah.
All right. Let me. It's called Keith and the Girl. And it's a very popular podcast. It's from the East Coast.
Check it out and learn about your dad.
Yeah, check it out. All right, I'm going to go back to this, but I'll come by on my way. All right.
Okay.
All right, love you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I was going to ask when the George Floyd
By the
riots,
way, you can just see their struggle. My kids.
tough life.
Are you getting my skis today?
I'm amazed they called you and not texted. They
Right.
wanted.
Well,
an
no,
answer
because
now.
I've been not picking up the phone because I've been
Ah.
talking to you guys. And finally, it's not like they're going to take no for an answer. And it is interesting, like these kids. I do, because they were all, that young lady that we just spoke with. She was born with a cleft lip in the asshole of China and was dumped on the steps of a orphanage the size of a split level ranch house. And now she's got a crazy life of privilege and indulgence. And I just find it funny.
Do you go through an American company? Like how do you find these people?
We have a magnet. It's a very interesting. it's like, have you ever seen You Only Live Twice when they fly over the car and pick up the magnet?
Right.
There's an international adoption agency that we knew. And she, interesting thing about kids with cleft lips, we had to say, like, don't fix her there. We will do it. Because they'll just go to like she, was at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, which is the preeminent place in the country. And it's like, it's so funny. She comes to America. She's a kid abandoned on the steps of an orphanage. She gets adopted. She comes to America. Within a month, she's having plastic surgery. Like it's so sad and typical that she's already plastic surgery. Just a little lift.
We
just wanted a baby with a great rack.
What attracted you to China?
I didn't want to fish in my genetic pool. And for reasons that I've discussed earlier on this podcast,
right? Because your brothers are cops.
Would it be so bad if this bloodline tapered out?
Right.
I just never. No, I love my family. I love my brothers, and flaws and all.
Was your upbringing tough? Was it rough? Like,
yeah, it was. It was pretty. Yeah, sure. It was a big. Yeah, it was 4 older brothers and a dad, and nobody was sober, and it was what you'd think.
Can you fight as a result of that? Like, are you?
No, that's why I'm so fun. That's why I'm funny. I can't.
Did your father find you funny? Because my father found me funny and then remembered I was a girl and was like, ugh, stop.
No, he didn't. He didn't. And as I started to say earlier, like I didn't, they hunted and they played sports and they were very men, they were just men, and very John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, very alpha kind of guys. And I didn't play sports and I had no interest in hunting, and they thought I was gay because of that. And later in life, I became very good friends with Bobcat Goldthwait. Same thing. I'm from Massachusetts. He's from upstate New York. And we're basically the same age. We're going through the same thing at the same time. Like, just like, well, you must be gay. You don't want to go hunting. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Did they literally try to beat out the artistic out of you?
No, they just gave, I was the 5th of 6 and they were just like, okay, I just stayed out of their way. Right. And I stayed out of their way. I never went into conflict. I just basically retreated and hid. Guess why I got divorced? I stayed out of their way. I avoided conflict. I retreated and hid. And, it's like, you don't need Freud. The roadmap is really clear. But
meanwhile, you're thinking you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, these are issues that have long been, long ago, litigated, and I've been in therapy and all that baloney. But no, they're all Trump supporters, and we just don't talk about it.
That's what I was going to ask. When the George Floyd riots happened, do you call them to get a point of view as an officer, or you go, I don't even want to know what you think?
I know their opinion, and I am not interested in it.
Yeah, I have a brother.
But we talk about, but we go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, nothing. I was going to say I have a brother that I know voted for Trump the first time. I don't even want to know if he voted the second time. Like, it's not even worth the risk. I'm like, let me respect you. I'm just never going to know. And I guess there's 5 kids of us, so there's going to be a lot of opinions, but it's just like, okay, I can't know this about you to respect you. And
I just don't. We talk about other stuff that we have in common. My mom isn't well. She has dementia now. She lives in a facility.
Do you guys have the same parents?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. Oh, are you going through that as well? Yeah. So we talk more because there's that. And we just, we talk about the stuff that binds us together and our shared experience. Like, this is a great moment. It was really great. We all grew up watching the same TV shows. We all in the same house and watching, in my house we grew up in the 70s. So it was all like the Andy Griffith Show, Bonanza, like all the shows from the 60s that were in rerun that were syndicated at the time. Like, we grew up every day watching the you come home from school, you watch the Three Stooges, the Andy Griffith Show, something, Star Trek. And like, we all watch the same stuff, Bonanza. And, we all watch the same stuff, and we all still do watch those same things on like MeTV. So my dad is now, my dad married this woman in 1954 and she's still alive, but she doesn't live with him anymore. And doesn't feel the same way she used to feel for him anymore because that part of her brain is closed down. I cannot. And my dad is not an open guy. And, I used to do a joke about like, haven't seen finally had a heart-to-heart with my dad, walked in the kitchen. So, fridge still keeping stuff cold? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Cold.
Yeah. I call the house and it's, hey, Dad. Oh, hello, son. Hold on. And, here's your mother.
Yeah. We call my dad Gran Torino because he's that guy. But so I was visiting him just before COVID, and we were watching Bonanza, and Helen Crump, the school teacher from the Andy Griffith Show, was on Bonanza, and so I'm watching it with my dad. I'm like, who is that? He goes, it's Andy's girlfriend. I go, oh yeah, that's who that is. But an hour later, my brother comes in. He just goes, hey, Helen Crump was on Bonanza. Like, we're all watching the same thing at the same time. It's like, you have a shared experience, and I'm fine with Republicans. I have lots of friends that are Republicans, but I don't understand the current structure of the Republican Party is nothing I understand. Mike Murphy, who's a very famous Never Trump Republican that's on Meet the Press and has a really brilliant podcast with David Axelrod called Hacks on Tap. He's a Never Trump Republican, but he has a very, very different view of the government's role in business and things like that than I do. But he's one of my best friends. But, because we both believe in human dignity and human morality, and, we have a different role of tax structure, but that's fine. I don't, but he believes that people should be allowed to vote. He's one of them. He's an old school conservative, right. And we don't agree on a lot of stuff on that regard, but it doesn't affect my opinion of him at all. He's an excellent human being. But it's when you get into people's dignity and their humanity that it's, I don't understand it.
Sure. I remember talking to a different brother of mine, and it was during these riots, and he's like, oh, so ACAB, all cops are bastards. It's like, first of all, motherfucker, we cursed all the time. All of a sudden, bastards is
oh, yeah. Fake outrage.
And how is this political, it's weird that it's a political thing, but how is this political talk? I mean, you don't know who I am. Do you think I'm saying all
Yeah, sure.
So you already know this is a non-conversation. Is
Yeah.
that what I'm saying? You don't know one good cop. Do you really think that's what I'm saying? You fucking idiot.
Yeah, and it's just like, how many? How long? How many white people's necks do you kneel on for 25 minutes? You know,
Right.
it's like,
You know what I think is funny is that we're all avoiding fighting with our family by bringing it up here. And here's what this fucking guy says.
You got to
Isn't
let
that
it
what you're
out.
gonna
Yeah.
fucking say?
well, somebody said like there's an entire generation that has lost their parents to Fox News, and that's certainly my
Right.
family. You go into my, everybody now has a TV screen the size of a drive-in movie screen, and it's just Fox News all day. And yeah, of course, you get indoctrinated to that.
And it's also like, if you remember, they wouldn't have let us watch TV for that long. They were saying TV is rotting your brain. They
Yeah.
were saying go outside, do something else. You got to say that to yourself, no matter what you're watching, whatever news, whatever social media. Stop playing something that's other people's opinions constantly in your head, advertisers, and just general information coming your way. Take a break. After this show, of course, but come on.
Yeah, but they're all, my mom's 87, my dad's 90. And, it's just, what else are they going to do? Fox was brilliant. They bought all of these stations that run the local sports teams. So all the guys are watching that station anyway, because they're waiting for the game to come on.
Right.
And then, you just get indoctrinated into the news. And it's, and I always say I'm a very progressive liberal person, but I also believe that the way I think is part of the country and not all of the country, and that you have to understand the country you live in, and that compromise is inevitable. You might as well get, I had a lot of people give me shit because they said, yeah, I'm going to vote for Biden. that I wasn't going to vote green or something. No, I'm going to vote for the guy who's going to, I like to win. I want to win.
Right.
Isn't it funny?
And I was an out of touch psychopath for doing that. And that's fine because, look, there's a reason cartoons are popular. They're easy to digest. It's fun to live in a cartoon. You don't have to think too much about it. But the point being, I sort of I derailed my sense of thought, but I understand that there's a middle ground where no one is really happy with anything, and that's kind of what you're gonna get, just by nature of the country, a country this big and this diverse. You're not gonna get everything that you want, and even though my views might be pretty progressive, they're not gonna. People look at you like. It's like, have you been out of Brooklyn? Have you talked to people that don't live in Brooklyn?
Right.
Do you go out of your Facebook group to talk to people? And and that's that's where I sort of I'm actually pretty moderate in that regard, because I understand that Joe Biden's who you're going to get. Right. If Bernie was gonna win, he would have.
Right. Isn't it weird? I was gonna say how DNA almost doesn't matter. I have a brother that wears
not at all.
He wears a suit every day. I wear cut off sleeves and do a podcast. You're doing all your creative things. You have a brother that's a cop. Nature or nurture? I think it's anything fucking goes.
I don't know. My oldest daughter is from Chengdu, China.
Okay.
And she's hilarious in a really dry, kind of out of the corner of her mouth kind of way.
Right.
And I don't know, was that always there? Was that just me? I don't know.
Yeah. By the way, I have siblings, they wear ties and I don't, but as a joke on Silent Trailers, I wore a tie to dress up. It was a goofy suit jacket and all that. I forgot how to do it. And I had to distract myself. Look over here. Now.
Oh, yeah, you had to do it.
Yo,
that's great. Yeah, you had to do it absentmindedly.
But when I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like, I don't know what goes next, but this can't be right.
So but you talk to your brothers, you just don't talk about it?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
But it's weird. Maybe they'll bring something up. I go, that's interesting. And then
it's
they get the vibe.
it's important to remember that the world isn't Twitter, that the internet is a house with many rooms. The internet is a mansion having a party, and Twitter is the room in the back where everyone is screaming at each other. There are many other rooms that's not representative of the whole party. It's certainly not representative of the whole town.
Well, allow me to mention this, and this is good for people like myself, for Dana, people working on relationships, giving it a second go. What did you do wrong the first time? I know what I did wrong the first couple times. I didn't have Brooklyn and sheets, Hemda. Brooklyn and sheets are so comfortable, and I have their towels. I have I got into washcloths. I have their duvet covers. I love it. It's a spa experience, and especially during COVID when you're inside most of the time anyway, I enjoy it very much. You have Brooklyn and stuff too.
I do actually. The last time I took a shower, here's my Brooklyn and towel.
Yeah,
it's so thick and feels so good on the body, especially like you're so wet. I hate those towels who actually don't dry you.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, what's the point of this? I got to rub extra. I don't know. This is fantastic.
I'm a big fan. Treat yourself to the ultimate comfort with Brooklinen's Comforter Collection. Go to brooklinen.com, use promo code POUND, you get it, to get $25 off with a minimum purchase of $100. That's BROOKLINEN.com. Enter promo code POUND for $25 off with a minimum purchase of $100. That's brooklinen.com, promo code POUND, of course, as short for the town that it's named after. And while I have your attention, I'm going to mention Blue Chew. You ever get like a little nervous, but you know you're into the person, that kind of thing?
This is relationship corner, isn't it?
It really is. You take a Blue Chew tablet, you chew it up. Next thing you know, you don't have to be in your head. Will I perform good? You know, if you can perform good, but you can't control your dick, that's what this is. What this is good for. The pill says, "Hey, I got you down here. Now you take care of the movement." Am I making sense?
I mean, yeah, because the thing is I imagine it's a lot of pressure for your equipment, you know, and for people who have the penis version of equipment.
Right.
Because if my equipment isn't working, there's like a little bit of lube or something, and you know that kind of takes care of it. But you guys have stuff pumping from the inside, so that pressure could be taken off with Blue Chew.
Here's a special deal. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code KATG at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. How about that? That's bluechew.com, promo code KATG. Get a first month free. And tell me about it, right? You little perverts. We thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. I think you'll dig it.
Yeah, right. Support our supporters.
Dana, speaking of cops and whatnot, you were on a jury on a murder trial.
How do you know all this stuff?
I know everything. I know everything.
Read your diary.
Right. Also,
yes.
every show you're on, you were taking private phone calls, and I started taking notes. So, is that exciting? I would, because
it was. I was dreading. I didn't want to do jury duty, you know. And I thought, you know, they say like, you know, I figured I had an out because like my brothers are cops, and I figured that the defense attorney
that's biased, right?
Would bounce me as I have two brothers in law enforcement. And they were like, if you have to pee, can you hold it? Yes, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah. And they did. I mean, this poor son of a bitch. I mean, he had a PDA, a public defense attorney. And it was like, look, maybe he did do it. I don't know. Like,
I wasn't there.
It was so, yeah. What? You know,
I'm agnostic. I don't know how the fuck knows.
This poor guy was doomed.
Was it a tough decision to make at the end?
No. It was a gang murder, and it was pretty obvious. And but it was weird. The gang members came into the courtroom.
Oh, wow.
And they were giving gang signs. And so
would they look at you?
No, they didn't care about us, but it was witness intimidation. And I literally saw this. Okay. I remember these two things now. It was really funny. I heard this because there were guys flashing gang signs in the car. Were you upset when you heard that your brother had been murdered? I don't remember.
God damn.
Yeah. And there was there was another thing where the brother it was the victim's brother.
Okay.
And he said in the same thing, like, look, I was not involved I was incarcerated during when this happened. Like,
right.
And he goes, why were you incarcerated? And he was like, I committed a hate crime.
I can prove I was there.
Yeah, but he was so happy that he could prove he wasn't. I committed a hate crime. I was in jail. I was like, well, good for you.
Yeah. By the way, you're neither here nor there. Your impressions are so good. I love them. Don Knotts, I know you do. Chris Mathers, Larry King. Do you do anybody alive?
No.
That's the charm, right?
I do. Yeah, I do. Or I do other. I say there's no reason to do like impressions that everybody knows that everybody does. And you often you do other people's impressions, like you do like, like I do my friend's Vincent Price impression. I do Rick Overton's Bruce Dern. Like that's, so you want to do an impression not everybody does, it's not fun to just do Humphrey Bogart or something. You want to do impressions that people don't do.
Did you really hurt?
I helped Bruce Dern get out of a parking garage once.
Oh, nice! And
I can't get the arm. I put in the money, but I can't get the arm to go up. Hang on, I'll help you out.
Did you break your throat doing Larry
break
King?
My throat?
That's what I heard. Is
yes,
that right?
I did. I ended up needing throat surgery. I gave myself I think it's called a polyp, but it's basically a blister. I put blisters on my vocal cords, but it's because I had a Larry King impression that I would do in my act. And it was very improvisational. And I would just talk like this. And I would go on and on for 2 hours. And it was just like, tomorrow night, Raquel Welch and a bowl of D batteries, just like whatever it was. But I really tortured my throat. And I ended up having to get surgery to get it fixed. And I ended up having it twice.
Did you sue him?
No, but it's a funny story. I met him once at Dan Tana's, which is like the old school restaurant in LA. And I met him and introduced myself. And I said, I have to tell you, I am a comedian. I do an impression of you. And I ended up having to have throat surgery to get polyps on my vocal cords.
Oh my God.
Doing my impression of you. And he went, and it was so funny because he went, serves you right. And then he took a beat, and then it was so funny because he grabbed me. I'll never get the way he grabbed me because I was standing next to him. He goes, serves you right. And then he put one hand on my hand and the other hand on my elbow. And he just leaned in and he goes, but you're okay now though. Like it was so, and you're just like, oh, this guy really cares about people. Like this guy's an empathetic human being. It was very sweet. And I was very touched by it. I was really touched by that.
He's like, sometimes people think I'm a lazy interviewer. Just doing this voice is hard.
It's exhausting. I wear the suspenders just to keep my throat in.
Whenever you first started in Hollywood, did you want to be a dramatic actor? Did you think that's how being a movie star would work for you?
When I was a kid, no, I was the dumbest thing ever. I grew up just watching horror movies and science fiction movies. That's all I wanted to do. And I thought, I want to just be in horror movies. I just want to act in horror movies. I'll be really happy. That's all I want to do.
Right.
And then I thought, but I was really funny and I was good at being a comedian. I thought, all right, I'll become a famous comedian and I'll become so famous that I can write my own movies, and I'll write horror movies and I'll be in them. And I was like, It was like the most bass-ackwards way of becoming a writer. It's like, I want to be a bakery chef. And if I'm elected to the Senate, they'll have to let me bake anything I want. Become a chef.
I get upset how comedy isn't respected, I think, the way other art is, and when you see awards.
It's the nature of it. It's the nature of it. I've always said, like on the evolutionary ladder of show business, where like ballerinas and opera singers are at one end, the comedians are right behind the guy that puts the condom on the donkey.
Yeah. And best comedy musical variety or whatever the fuck these weirdos do, Brat this time around.
Yeah. It's like Dr. Strangelove didn't win Best Picture in 1964.
Yeah, that's
Can't
crazy.
tell you what did, but I bet it wasn't as good of a movie as Dr. Strangelove.
Right. And let me ask you, what were your thoughts seeing the documentary The Problem with Apu?
I didn't see it. I know I'm in it, but I didn't see it.
How do you not see it?
I saw the trailer and I saw what they were doing and I went, oh, okay. It's not a documentary. It's an editorial. And I think the point that they made was really well made. And, but I didn't see it.
Do you agree that it's good they stopped The Voice? Or
yeah,
not?
I think I do. It's one of those things that, at the time at the time it wasn't an issue.
Sure.
And then later it became an issue because culture evolved. But it's hard
and awareness evolved.
Culture evolved and awareness evolved, and then things have to catch up. But it's hard to go, well, in 1990, you were doing this thing that we think is wrong now. Yeah, but it was not, I'm sure Al Jolson would not wear blackface today.
Right.
And in 1919, nobody really thought it was, I'm sure black people were offended, but in most cultures, like, yeah, that's what he's doing.
Do you say, hey, Harry Kondabalu, write me a letter then, for God's sakes? No, you make me look like an asshole.
Yeah, I thought it was a good point, and it's, I don't like to be equated with the comedy police, and I think it's a judgment call.
Right.
It's where you draw the line. I wrote an episode of The Simpsons that took place in China, and we had Lucy Liu, but we also had the cast members doing Chinese voices, doing voices with Chinese accents, because we have 5 or 6 cast members, and it's a repertory company, and we don't have $1 million an episode to cast every voice. So it's always a judgment call. It's a gray area.
Did you adopt 3 Chinese people to make up for that?
I wrote the episode about going to, and I've had people give me shit because I didn't adopt black people, because Chinese are apparently an acceptable minority.
It's never good enough.
Wow. Yeah. So then you go like, okay, that's what do you say? All right.
Yeah.
I'll tell them. I'll tell them to leave.
Yeah, I fucked up. Bye, kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We're going back to surgery.
Yeah.
Getting our
but I didn't, I came off really poorly in that documentary. So I sort of owe an apology to the staff of the show, because the problem of when you're edited is somebody can ask you the same question 40 times. And when you finally seem annoyed in your answer, they can just use that clip. And you look like an intemperate asshole, when in fact, you're just trying to give somebody what they want.
You just come up. What is it?
I was the only person that was dumb enough to go, sure, I'll do it.
Right. And what they use, like I saw in the trailer, hey, back then just doing that voice is funny. And
right.
They just,
and that was the 20th time I'd answered that exact question. And I'd finally started to get a little annoyed. Right. And of course you use that because you need a villain in your documentary. I get that.
Look at that. Have you ever, did you reach out to Harry or anything like that? Or
No.
Okay. Just checking. How are you holding up during the pandemic?
I love it.
Yeah. Other than the deaths, do you dig it?
I'm having a great time. I have to say, since the pandemic hit, everything's been going my way. No, it's so funny. Now we're all like dogs. Well, I've got my shots. I'm all set. I can go home now. I have my shots. I got my first shot. I'm looking forward to my second shot. And, I'm afraid to go perform live again.
Yeah.
I'm
afraid to be alive outside.
Right. I mean, I go out. I have 3 kids. I have, that I'm in I go to the store every day. I'm out every day. And I just wear a mask and use Purell and I wash my hands. I've been lucky. I always find these people that don't want to get the shot because they don't want the government tracking their movements. But when they attack the government, they live stream it on Facebook. It's like you have a phone, you fucking idiot. That's that whole belief started. America has a fundamental belief in individualism and that the government is not helpful. But the belief that government is evil is
debatable, at least debatable.
Well, I just think it's narcissism. It's like, oh, you think that you're a threat to the government? Do you realize how little the government cares about you, Cletus?
Right.
It's that's the thing. It's these people that hoard guns because one day the government's going to come and, so they have to hoard hundreds of weapons because
they actually just like guns.
Yeah. It's like the government's going to come. Yeah. A 21-year-old guy in a mini mall is going to program a drone.
Right. Do you have any stand-up lined up? Are you writing new stuff?
Well, I'm writing new stuff. I have a Zoom show this weekend, and I have one live performance, like in October or November, like a road gig.
But you are. It sounds. But you are nervous about it.
Yeah, I am. I do other things. So I do other things. So right. I'm very, very, very grateful that I don't rely on it for a living, and I really feel for my friends that just do that.
Well, let me tell you something. I don't know if maybe this will probably put you at ease. I have to assume. I saw you in October of 2013 in California, and you were great. I love it.
Oh, thank you. If I can just do that, I think I'll be fine.
You can follow Dana online, danagould.com, and the Twitter accounts, Instagram, all that is Dana Gould. And the podcast is the Dana Gould Hour. And that's that. And you'll see his Zoom shows, say hi.
I'm around. Can I plug something? Can I plug one thing? Yeah. On YouTube, I have a show called Hanging with Dr. Z.
Yes. Oh my!
That you should check out.
Wow. How long does it take you to get into that?
2.5 hours.
To get into the costume, right?
And then an hour and a half out. Because everything is glued down. Please go to this YouTube channel just to look at this costume. You are all in with this. It is magical. It's pretty good. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's me, my friends, Rob Cohen and Pete Aronson, and I did this show. And I'll just let you watch it. It's called Hanging with Dr. Z. It's pretty funny. The new episode airs Monday with Will Forte. The current episode has Janet Varney.
Cool.
Well, congrats. She's so sweet.
Yeah, she's great. She's an old buddy of mine.
Yeah.
Well, check him out. Dana, thank you for your time, man. This is very fun. It was nice.
Oh my God, I had a great time, and it was very therapeutic. I feel like I should write you a check for $150.
We'll talk. We'll talk. All right, everybody, take a look at keithandthegirl.com/VIP. We're very, very proud of it. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you in season 340.
keithandthegirl.com